Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Cannon Chatter TV. I'm G Talks Arsenal, your host for tonight's show. Not sure at this point in time whether this is a lock-in or what was it, last orders, but right now it doesn't really matter. You know, we're here at Cannon Chatter TV. We're going to be chatting all things Arsenal, obviously including a preview to the weekend's game against Brentford. And yes, we have football back on our screens, which I know we're all absolutely thrilled about. But before we obviously, go into the match preview and stuff like that, as you can see, I'm joined by obviously two of our Cannon Chat members, Lee and Bobby. How you doing, Lee?
I'm really good, mate. How's things with you? You good?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I think as you know, obviously it was my birthday yesterday. So yeah, it was a really, really good day. You both know as well, I started a new job on Tuesday of this week, so I've not even been really that active on Twitter, to be honest. I just haven't had the time. Because it's an internal role. I'm managing my previous role and I'm transitioning into my new role. So in an effect, I'm doing two jobs at once, kind of for the next kind of week or two. So yeah, my hands are really, really full wise. But yesterday was lovely. Oh, I turned 38.
Nothing to worry about, son.
2 years from 40. I mean, I got the new Jamaica Arsenal top from the missus, which was brilliant. We went out for a nice family meal, just chilled, had a couple of drinks, some nice food, and got a bit of a pampering session when I came back. Face mask, manicure, pedicure. I don't business. I'm a big man. I'll say I loved it. I loved every single minute of it. But no, it was good, man. It was good. And I appreciate obviously all your messages and stuff from the Cannon Chat team. The viewers, people that watch, people on Twitter and stuff. So yeah, that was a nice day. How you doing, Bobby?
Yeah, man, I'm blessed, man. It's been an interesting week for me. Been quite busy at work. Little bits of drama at home, but I got a big family, so I expect drama all the time, man. That's why my shoulders are broad. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's nothing like a bit of Cannon Chat. Talk about Arsenal, something that I love, something 100%. That normally always makes me smile. To take my mind off my hectic week. You know what I'm saying?
Wicked. Yeah, definitely. And obviously on that note, we'll run the intro and then we'll see you guys on the other side.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened.
Loving them dance moves, Bobby. Loving them dance moves. I can see you backstage.
Caught you, mate.
I always have a little jam, man. I like that. All right.
Absolutely brilliant, man. But yeah, like I said, good evening to everyone, and obviously welcome back to Cannon Chatter TV. It's been a while since we've been on the airways for several reasons. Obviously, notably, the death of Queen Elizabeth. But we don't talk politics. We don't talk monarchy. We don't talk all those kind of controversial subjects here on Cannon Chatter. We talk football and we talk, most importantly, Arsenal. And that's what we're going to get into tonight. So before we do that, we've already got somebody in the chat. We've got Ellie here saying, good evening, guys. Been ages since I've seen one of these. Hope you're all good. Nice to see you all as always. 100%. Thank you so much for the support, Ellie, man. Yeah, you're always here, always supporting the cause. And we massively, massively appreciate it. So big up yourself. So yeah, we're going to get right into it because obviously we want to be in the airways tonight for no longer than about an hour. So, our time is limited. So obviously it's been a while since we've been on. Like I said, lots of things have happened. We've lost the Monarch. Chelsea have, got a new manager. There's been postponed fixtures. There's been rearranged fixtures. And obviously in the midst of all of this, we did actually have a game. Obviously, that was the Europa League game against FC Zurich, where we kicked off our European campaign after a season of being out of Europe. And yeah, I don't really want to focus on the game because it feels like it was an age away. But I think there are a couple of bits that we could discuss. I think that probably at the time we would have discussed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of split this. There's two players that I really want to focus on and talk about. And I don't know. You can take your pick. Who wants to talk about Marquinhos? Who wants to talk about Vieira?
After you, Bobby.
I'll talk about it either. I don't mind.
No problem. So I'm going to bring up Marquinhos. So Marquinhos, obviously 19-year-old that we bought from the first division in Brazil. Many people questioned the acquisition at the time, given his age and the age of the Arsenal squad. Everyone thought, another young prospect, another player with potential. There was also a lot of quibbles and arguments about the fee. Supposedly his team didn't want a fee, but we actually paid a £3 million fee as a goodwill gesture to kind of build relationships and rapport with the club. There was a lot of talk about, well, he's coming to the club. He'll definitely go on loan. He hasn't gone on loan. And we've seen snippets of him for the under-23s. We saw, some cameos in some friendly appearances during the US tour. But this was the first time we actually saw him in a senior team where he started a game. So talk to me, Bobby, about the Marquinhos debut, so to speak, against FC Zurich. What were your thoughts after the game, during the game, and what do you just make of, the player itself?
Yeah, I was actually really surprised because a lot of Brazilian kids are very flary and take a lot of risks. And he seemed like a good young European prospect because he just made all the right decisions. He very rarely gave the ball away. He worked really hard defensively. He looked strong in the tackle. He got himself stuck in a few times as well. Yeah. But then he could also do the tiki-taka side. He was, he did a few nice little passages of play with Vieira himself, So he did a few nice things with Eddie as well. So he definitely looks like he's going to be an interesting prospect for us going forward. Hopefully he can get more minutes, a lot more minutes, and we can see a lot more of him, But yeah, I was really impressed, really, really impressed. He's kind of like the same kind of impact when Martinelli came, wasn't it?
100%, yeah.
If he has the same impact as Martinelli has had up till now, we're going to have a player on our hands, haven't we? Obviously, someone to take the burden off Saka. And yeah, just raise the level of the wingers in the club, and it could save us a lot of money because, as you've already pointed out, it was 3 million, and if he ends up being, as good as Saka and Martinelli, then it saves us a lot of money in the market. And it'll go down as another Edu masterclass, But he is young; we don't want to put too much pressure on him.
Yeah,
and obviously these young boys need time to develop and make mistakes and play games because he hasn't played a lot of games. I think it's only his second professional season, so
yeah.
But the signs are good in his first game, and very excited.
You know what I've liked about the reaction to the Marquinhos signing, because obviously there was an instant reaction, but you've also got to remember since we signed Marquinhos, we supposedly bidded for Rafinha, which we didn't, but we were heavily linked, and obviously throughout the whole summer there was talk of this mystery winger. And we all thought that we would at some point, even if it was late on in the market, we would at some point, jump back in the market and buy, a well-established winger or a more established winger than Marquinhos. No one probably envisioned, I know some fans did, but nobody probably envisioned that he was going to be part of the first team setup for this season. But what I've liked is, in the past, you've seen Arsenal fan bases or sections of the Arsenal fan base where at times, if we have a player, but as part of the fan base, we don't feel like they're good enough or they're ready, and we want the club to sign another player, and then that signing doesn't come. Sometimes we tend to get on the back of the actual player who's left at the club. And I think what I have liked is there hasn't been any of that kind of, toxic narrative towards Marquinhos. Now, don't get me wrong, it's helped that he's come into the team, scored a goal, which was a phenomenal goal against FC. What a finish it was. And even his assist for Eddie was an absolute peach of a cross into the box. So, but even despite that, before that, a lot of the time you would get the whole kind of, joking and mockery of the player, why we're relying on this kid, this unknown, blah, 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 blah. But to be honest, I haven't seen that. And I don't know whether that's because, the team's doing well. We've won what? We've won 7 games out of 8, I think it is. Across Europe. I know it's early days, but in 8 games, we've won 7. So I've been impressed with that because I've seen it in the past where, when Arsenal fans or sections of the fan base, we don't get what we want, we tend to turn on the player that's kind of left at the club when really and truly it's got nothing to do with Marquinhos. He's just been signed. He has no control over what Mikel Arteta and Edu do in the transfer market or what they don't do. So I have been impressed with that. It seems as though the fan base are very much rational in that he is young, he needs time, he needs minutes. But I think that has helped because he has come in. Yes, it's Europa League. Yes, it's FC Zurich. But I mean, you can't ask for more than a 19-year-old to come into the senior side against FC Zurich in the Europa League and get a goal and assist. I think you can't ask for much more than that. So I really do hope, he's going to make mistakes. There are going to be games when he doesn't have, it doesn't perform well. And I just hope that, the Arsenal fan base remains patient with him because, like I say, he can only do the best he can, given the situation he's been put in. We do need to remember that, he does need our support. He is a developing player, so we do need to be patient with him. But yeah, I echo everything you said, Bobby. I was massively impressed with him. And I think the first thing that kind of struck me with him when we signed him was just his actual size. The guy, I don't know what this guy's eating. He must be eating pure curry goat and rice and brown stew chicken because, boy, this guy's built. And for a 19-year-old, he's absolute unit. And I think that's only going to bode well for his kind of transitioning into the Premier League because we do know, yes, slight players, silky players, they can perform in the Premier League. But I mean, if you do have that size and that stature in your locker, it can only be a good thing. It can only be beneficial to his game. But yeah, very impressed with his debut. Lee, I'll come to you to talk to you about all things Vieira. Obviously, again, a summer signing came out of nowhere. Literally, I think it was reported out of nowhere by some Portuguese, journalists. And then within 24 hours, he was unveiled as an Arsenal player. Most of us knew very little, if not nothing about it. Obviously, since doing our research, he's a silky player. He's a versatile player. He's a very creative player. What did you make? And obviously, we had to wait a long time for this debut because he was nursing an injury. He didn't take part in pre-season, but we finally got our wish, and he played against FC Zurich. What did you make of his debut in that game?
So I will say this for all the viewers as well. I've literally seen about the 5-minute clip that BT Sport put out on YouTube. So I've seen a little bits. All right. What I will say is that he definitely had a part to play in the first goal. He linked up with, I think we mentioned Marquinhos a minute ago. Yeah. He had a lovely link up with him and Nketiah for the opening goal. I think he did a lot of things quite well. I think it would have been a bit of it's a big stage to come into, a big game, Arsenal in Europe. And I think he settled down pretty good. From reports that I said, he had a bit of, had a bit of an up and down kind of game. But like we said, with young players as well, you can't expect miracles. Let's for me, and this is what this channel was all about, is look at a load of positive stuff. And I think both of the players actually came in full debuts, or certainly from the start anyway. And I've got one thing I want to bring up as well, just caught in my head. Marquinhos, when he scored the goal, the emotion on his face when he scored that goal as well.
It was beautiful.
It just show how much it meant to him.
Yeah, it was.
And that I've got a feeling that we might see that a few times.
Definitely. Hopefully.
But definitely, especially, and we'll definitely see more of these guys coming forward. We'll mention fixture congestion coming up in a little bit. And I've got a feeling we'll have a lot of rotation, especially we'll see more, probably like 2 games a week for quite a lot of this coming up, especially obviously with the games that's been called off recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got let's go say positive signs on both the players. I've got to say that.
Brilliant. Yeah, you're right. You're bang on in that the ball he released to Nketiah down the left was brilliant. It was perfectly placed. It was quick thinking. It was change of play. It was right ahead of Nketiah, and obviously Nketiah then put it on a plate for Marquinhos. So I think he really controlled the tempo of the game. I think he did really remind me of Odegaard. He did in certain times during that match. In that when Odegaard is on song, he kind of dictates. He doesn't always assist. He doesn't always get a goal, but he's very crucial to the tempo of the game, and kind of keeping things ticking over in the midfield. And he was involved in everything we were doing in that midfield. And apart from certain periods of the match, we completely dominated most of the game, and I think he was integral to that. I think he looks an absolute baller. I think you've seen the signs, in the clips for him playing for Porto and since coming to Arsenal, that I think he's going to be an absolute gem. We are in a bit of a good position where we can transition him in quite slowly. We've got Odegaard, he is playing well, so we don't need to rush him into the Arsenal first team. But I see him as competition for Odegaard. Like, I know he can play 8. I know he can play that wide on both areas, but I really see him as that Odegaard type player, the player that can, he really has a defense splitting pass in him. That's what I see. He's the kind of player that can unlock a defense. So I see him kind of in that role. But yeah, I think it's really exciting. The fact that we've got him. And I'm glad he's made his debut. And, obviously after that game, he's had a bit of rest. So hopefully, we may even see him feature at the weekend. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll go to the comments now because we've got a couple flying in here. So we've got Ellie saying, I love that Mikel and Cole didn't buckle under pressure for fans to sign a winger. Obviously, they saw something in him, and that's why he didn't go out alone. Rightly so, given his chance. Ellie stroke too.
Do you remember DG said that in the chat earlier?
He said it from early doors.
He said it early doors, didn't he? He was like,
he said it from early doors.
None of us seen him play. It could be he could be like the little secret kind of signing, because they do look at certain things. I've always said I think that they sign players off like an up to database kind of thing. And if this boy, he doesn't look like, when I looked at his stats, it doesn't look like he's ever been injured either. That could be something.
Which is that'll change.
when you saw him sign, also he was very he had his dad and his brother and his mum with him. So he's very family oriented. And they've come to they came over with him and they were staying with him for the first 3 months that he's been here. I think his dad only just went back not long ago. So I've been looking at all that, and I think all that's quite important, that he's got a good family base around him, and it means that his character is a certain type of character. Which is I follow. I don't know if you all follow Martinelli, but I follow Martinelli on Instagram, and he just posts pictures of himself with his girlfriend all the time. Just like,
good for him.
He just looks like a good, nice young boy. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's what you want, innit? You want that type of character, particularly young player in the dressing room. You don't want ones that are, fixated with Rolexes and cars and nightclubs and so forth. So you want that culture within a club. 100%.
Well, as Lee pointed out when he started crying when he scored, you can see how much it meant to him.
That was a beautiful moment.
It's a beautiful moment, man. You know what I'm saying? To me, that said something to me about his character. That's the kind of thing that meant something to him. He's quite passionate about that, and I loved it, man. It was great, man.
No, definitely. And Gary here, all the way from the States. Hello, G, Bobby Lee, and chat room. Yep, you got all the names right, no problem.
I've only been here since January. Don't worry.
You just did it, buddy. You just did it. You jinxed it. I hope not. So let's hope not. We hope we didn't jinx it. Hopefully he won't get injured. Right, another player for me that I want to talk about, because this is a player that really splits opinion. He split opinion at the end of last season because there was the whole, do we renew his contract? Do we let him go? And I have to admit, I was in the camp of let him walk for free, and we're talking about obviously Eddie and
my boy.
Eddie and Nketiah. And I was in that camp. But the thing about me is that, as much as I might have an opinion, if the club makes a different decision, I'm not just going to bang on about that opinion again and again and again and again, because it serves no purpose. The guy signed the contract. Mikel Arteta and Edu like him. They believe in him. He's at the club. There is no point in me, because when it gets to that stage, that's when it becomes an agenda. Do you understand? Yeah. It's like, I've got an opinion. My opinion is we should have let him go. We didn't let him go. Now he's in the Arsenal shirt. I want him to do well. If at that point, I'm still holding on to, he needs to go. That means I'm wishing him to miss chances. I'm wishing him to not do well to prove, my point that he wasn't good enough. Like, I think he's looked a completely different player. I think when he came into the side, obviously at the end of last season, I softened my stance on him because obviously Laka was dropped. He came in and he scored some really crucial goals in some big games. And my stance on him definitely softened. So when the club finally made the decision to keep him, I was okay with it. I wouldn't say I was happy, but I was okay with the decision because at the end of the day, I'm not Mikel Arteta, I'm not Edu, I'm no expert. We've got to trust. These guys have been trusted with the club's future, so we back them. Now, this season, I feel like obviously Gabriel Jesus, has strolled in, and game time for him is going to be limited, so to speak. But I mean, every time I've seen him, and I think he has featured in almost every single game we played as a sub, he looks a different player. He's strong, he's quick, he's sharp. Don't get me wrong. I think, there is still work to be done. I think there are a couple of chances that he could have maybe taken better. Maybe some decisions in the final third are not always what they should be. But I mean, there's been a vast improvement from the Eddie I remember pre-end of last season to now. There's been absolute immense improvement. Now, he still splits opinion. Obviously, he was on target against FC Zurich with a very well taken goal. Header at far post. Really, really good goal. Poacher's goal. Now, I'll come to you. Yeah, I'll come to you, Lee, on this one. Obviously, I know you've always rated Eddie. You've always been, fond of Eddie. You were open to him staying at the club. Now, the big question is, you can be fond of a player, you can like a player, you can believe in a player. But ultimately, when you look at the quality of Gabriel Jesus and what he brings, do you believe that Eddie can provide the cover and competition that we need going into this whole season with all the fixtures we have?
I'm not going to change my stance on Mr. Nketiah, or also I'll look a little.
I respect it,
because otherwise I'd look a little bit of an idiot on a YouTube channel, which I don't really want to do, really. But we got Jesus in the side, who let's be fair, is adapted to life at Arsenal. Lovely. If you look how he scored that first goal, that beautiful lob. And then he's just looked so at home. He's contributed so many goals. I think isn't it 3 goals and a same sort of assist as well.
Yeah.
Without having my trusty clipboard in front of me, unprepared. Sorry, but with Eddie there as well, can provide cover. Can he provide competition? Yeah, I think he's got the ability. You said that when he's come on, he's made an impact. I think he's made such a development, such an improvement in his game. There are things that you can probably improve on, like maybe tackling in his own penalty area as well.
Yeah,
that wasn't the best bit of play from my man, to be fair. Yeah. But for the majority of the highlights that I saw, he's shown great pace, for great assists for the first goal. The header was superb. I couldn't have done that, so that's why he gets paid and I don't, right? But
that's it.
But I got a lot of faith in the lad, and it's not just providing cover for Jesus. I'm of the belief, they could probably play together as well. I'm pretty sure he could.
Mm-hmm.
So and you probably find as we're going to go along, what's going to happen in Premier League. We're going to pick up injuries. We'll pick up a couple of suspensions here or there. That's what happens. And that's what he's there for. That's why they signed. That's what he's in the squad for.
Definitely. I'll come to you, Bobby. Obviously, same question, really. Can Eddie, provide us with the cover and obviously the competition we need? Obviously, more so when you're thinking about Gabriel Jesus. But just kind of give me your thoughts on Eddie, generally as a player. In terms of what you've seen so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the camp of wanting him to stay as well. If you remember, it was, for me, it wasn't about his ability; it was more about his attitude. It was more about he was a Highland boy. He's come up through the ranks, and obviously we took him from Chelsea when he was in his scholar years. But his attitude's always been spot on, and coaches have always kind of used him. And he's a good player for England on the 21 system. So for me, I wanted him to stay just for that. But then on the quality side, for where we're going, no. In the league, he could probably provide cover where it comes to games like bottom 10. But there's going to come a time this season for a fact that Jesus is going to be unavailable. He's going to get injured at some point for us. He's signed a four-year deal. He's going to get injured, and we're going to need an able-bodied backup. So say Jesus does his cruise ship tomorrow and he's out for 6 months. Do you want Eddie to be the guy coming in? I don't personally. I'm happy for him to come in and do the job, but for me, where the team's going now, for the level of the quality that we've got, we're top of the league. We're battering teams. No one's really beaten us. The Man United game, we know what the agendas were in that game. But the way we're going now, I think we need a different type.
Yeah.
I think we need an Osimhen, a Nunez, a Vlahovic, one of those top level elite centre forwards that can do something out of nothing, that can then raise those around him. I'm not saying that Eddie can't do that eventually, but I don't think Eddie can do that now. I think he can come in and be a steady replacement, and he'll probably play 15 games and score 8 goals. And like he did at the end of last season, he come in and did well. But will he be able to do that for a whole season? Will he be able to? I want someone to come in that's going to
question, isn't it?
I want someone to come in that's going to test Jesus. That's going to. I want someone that's going to come in and elevate Jesus, not someone that's going to elevate Eddie. I think that Mikel Arteta and Edu, looking at where they've come from and the levels that they're setting, and that the players that they've acquired, I do think that they'll probably be thinking the same, because I think Eddie getting the deal that he got was more about not letting players wanting to go for free, more so than it was about wanting to keep Eddie. That's just my personal point on it. Because we've let so many players go for nothing, and Eddie's definitely for probably 10 to 15 clubs in the Premier League, he would be their best. He would be their starting striker, because he's made that much strides. And I'm not saying that he can't become, like an Ivan Toney level, or get an England call up. I'm not saying that won't happen. I just don't personally see it, because like you've already touched on, G, there's certain times, like even like in the game against Zurich, a few decisions to me, he was just a bit too rash. He could have been a bit calmer and held it up a little bit slower. Do you remember when he came on against Man United?
Yeah,
that's 15 minutes. He was great because he had it. But even in that game, if he'd have slowed down a couple of times and held the ball up and waited for someone to come, he would probably got us back in the game and stuff, So for me, he's a good player. I like the attitude and all that. But for where we're heading, we're top of the league now, So when you look at top of the league, when you look at Man City and Liverpool, they got Nunez and Haaland. Yeah. We've got Jesus and Eddie.
There is a goal.
Steady Eddie. Let's get it right.
There's levels to this, isn't there?
There is.
Man City got rid of Jesus.
So and Sterling.
And Sterling. So, for me, I love Eddie. I'm not gonna slag him off and stuff. But for me, for where we're heading, we need that elite number 9. 6'5", back to goal, do something out of nothing. And then Jesus and Martinelli and Saka can pick up bits around them, or what I'm saying. That's where I see us going.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I think a lot of fans will echo that, because there was a lot of sections of the Arsenal fan base that wanted us to get that kind of big centre forward, somebody with a little bit more X factor that could do, like you say, do something out of nothing. Particularly when your kind of back's against the wall, when you're in a difficult game. I completely get that. We've got some comments here. Let's see. Where are we? There we are. Ellie saying, look at the work Mikel did with wingers and young players at City as well. So much praise from Sonny, Sterling. You can see City miss Mikel. That is such a bonus for us with Marquinhos. We've got Gary here. And Nketiah looked good versus FC Zurich, but he still needs to show that Europa League isn't his level. Eagerly waiting goal or assist in the Premier League. Gary also saying Jesus is the best mentor Nketiah has had since he's been in the first team. 100% true. He has shown actually what is needed to compete in the Premier League and what the manager wants. And that's what Bobby was saying. Jesus elevates Eddie, but we also need a forward that can, go toe to toe, match, and even elevate Jesus. So I completely agree with that one. Ellie here saying, I think Eddie and Jesus need to play together. Jesus is hard working outside and around the box, regaining possession, etc. That we sometimes don't have the striker inside where the ball comes in. Gary here saying, first injuries, now games without Jesus. Bobby, you are 2 for 2. Wow. Definitely agree with Bobby. Team needs to be pushed from those on the bench, and Ketia doesn't concern Jesus like Zinc Tierney competition. Well, I mean, at the moment, in my opinion, I don't think Zinny has anything to worry about KT.
Exactly, he doesn't.
That's just
KT fan. I know I'm a
huge KT fan, but
everyone thinks that now.
I'm looking at KT now, and he's looking one-dimensional.
Exactly.
He looks right now, for me, no disrespect, KT.
Run down the wing and cross it.
He looks like, I said to somebody, he looks like an SPL player.
Yeah.
Like Zinchenko makes him look like an SPL player. Yeah. And I was raving about this geezer. But like I say, it's all love. But I think Zinchenko coming in has just, it's just like Bobby said, there are levels to this. There are
levels, man. We watched the Invincibles, man. We watched one of the greatest Premier League teams ever. Yeah. That's what you got to remember. We set standards in this league that other teams will follow. Facts. Yeah. And we all watched it. So we watched the greatest Premier League striker ever. Yeah. And now you're going to tell me that you think that we're going to get there with Eddie Nketiah. Yeah. I'm not saying that he won't get there in maybe 10 years or maybe 5 years or maybe he can't work to get there. But as you just said, G, there's levels to this, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to just add to this argument just very quickly. Do you remember when... Sorry, Lee. No, it's good. But just remember when Arsenal bought Ian Wright from Crystal Palace and everyone's like, he's not worth it, it's not worth it.
Oh,
just look where my man Wrighty went, do you? So,
We'll see. Gary last one saying the drop-off isn't as big between Zinc and KT, versus Jesus and Nketiah. We can compete if Zinc needs time off. Okay, yeah, I hear that. Right,
ways, actually.
Yeah, next talking point tonight is obviously fixture power luck. Now, obviously, we're not going to go into the reasons why this has happened because obviously we don't talk politics on this show, just Arsenal. But, I mean, October looked bad. It now looks absolutely horrendous in terms of fixtures. I think I wasn't sure when I was doing this earlier, and I was kind of doing this in the midst of doing my other two jobs. So I knew it was somewhere between 8 to 10 games. I think it's actually 9 games we now have.
That's maths.
Now, I'll come to you first, Bobby, on this one. It is a bit of a mess. In terms of the amount of games we've got to play in October, given obviously Europa League, given the World Cup, given obviously the recent postponements of fixtures, etc. I mean, what are your thoughts about, the Arsenal squad playing this many games in such a short period of time? And I know you weren't massively fussed about us getting a player or a couple of players in at the end of the window, but what are your thoughts about the fixture pile up in general? And can this squad cope?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, this is going to be a massive test of us.
100%.
And when you look at the fixtures, I mean, G, we've kind of had this kind of semi-debate in our chat, haven't we? Where I've said that this squad, this club wants to be in Champions League, and when you think we was in the Champions League for 16 years. With the squad that we had, with the Songs, with the Benayuns, with the Busies that was in and out all the time, we still play 2 games a week. And we still finish top 4 every week. So these players, if they want to wear the badge and play for Arsenal, you're going to be playing, and you want to be back where we belong. You're going to be playing 2 games a week, standard, because that's the way it is. And if you actually look at the fixtures, they're not that bad, because really, it's the first week. We've got Spurs at home, but if you think about it, all of them are at home. Those 3. So we've got Spurs at home. Then we've got Bodo Glimt at home, and then we've got Liverpool at home. So we've got three games where we haven't really got to travel anywhere. They're all at home. I'm not worried about Spurs, because if you think about it, Spurs they're having to travel. They've had to travel twice in the Champions League already. So their squad's already going to be stretched. Whereas we're going to have three home games. Liverpool aren't playing that great. So at the moment, if there's a good right time to play Liverpool and Spurs, it's now, because they've got a pile up of fixtures. They're playing. They're getting lots of injuries, etc., etc. We've had a massive rest, and then the one game that we did play was a low intensity game against Zurich, where we're not going to play all our players. Yeah, against Bodo Glimt, we're going to play our B team again. So they probably.
I'm playing that one.
So then if you look at the rest, if you look at the other fixtures, I think we've got Leeds away. Leeds away, and I think maybe Wolves might be in there at the end. The rest
That's a tough one.
In terms of actual,
it's just Europa. It's PSG. PSV. We've got Bodo Glimt again. So I think it's more about the number of games that we've got rather than the intensity in those games.
100%,
because as you know, when you're playing against Liverpool and Spurs, the intensity is going to be totally different to when you're playing against Bodo Glimt and the other teams. So luckily, we've only got Liverpool and Spurs right at the beginning. And then the rest, I think that we can manage. Do you know what I mean? I think that we'll be okay. Looking at the squad as well, a lot of them that we've got there, I mean, I shouldn't say this, but a lot of them that we've got there are players that don't get injured a lot. The two that get injured a lot are Partey and KT. The rest play a lot of games and don't really get injured that much. And I think that they've looked at that when they've done the recruiting. Yeah, obviously, fingers crossed. Obviously, Tommy Asu as well is another one of those. But, he's got something to prove now, hasn't he? So I think we're actually going to be okay.
Okay, no problem. Lee, same thing to you. Obviously, I think it's 9 fixtures. Obviously, you've heard what Bobby, has to say with regard to his opinions. What are your thoughts, obviously, over the next, the next month or so? Lots of games. Can this squad cope?
Yes, the squad can cope. I think that's what we were talking about with the strength in depth with the likes of Marquinhos and Vieira. I can see them definitely coming in at some of these stages. By the way, you said I'm not worried about Tottenham. Listen, I remember what G done. I was there. I went into a chat along saying before we did the North London derby. Oh, we've got the top 4. I remember what you did. So I hope you just haven't jinxed it. But but yeah, I think we're quite lucky in terms of the players that we've got, like Zinchenko, right? Who can fit in into that left-hand side pretty much anywhere you want him to go. He'll do it. You've got players like K2 who hasn't even featured in Premier League really yet. We've got people like Two Game Tommy who want to have a game soon.
You called him 2 Game Tommy.
I did, that's Stephen's influence.
Stephen came up with that one, 2 Game Tommy.
It's all up there. It's all up there.
Like a Stephen piss take.
Yeah, that is.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that on this channel. Definitely not. do you know what I mean, G? Do you know what? If I just slow it down a little. I'm only joking. And that is my farewell appearance. See you later. But you fixture pile up. I think we'll be fine. You mentioned the quality of the opponents that we've got. Yeah, the home games. I didn't realise that we've got them home fixtures. We'll probably find a strong similar sort of side. That's what's been featuring for them sort of games, and then it will probably mix up a little bit, barring like they said, Premier League injury suspensions. That's what's going to happen. It's a prediction. It's not a spoiler.
Definitely. I think with regards, I think for me, I've got to agree with both of you in that. But something Bobby said, I think I kind of resonate with is that it's not so much the opposition; it's more to do with the amount of games. I think these players, we should expect these players to play twice a week. At the same time, we all know, 9-10 games in a month is tough. And I think there is a bit of a split opinion with regards to squad. I think that some sections of the fan base think that the squad has got a lot of depth. Others feel that, there are certain areas in the squad that don't really have the depth, and not so much the numbers, but more to do with the quality. As we've been talking, Jesus and Eddie, or the likes of Zinchenko and Katie. It kind of just depends where you sit in terms of, what you kind of consider to be strong, strong squad depth. I think if we can stay clear of injuries, I think we'll be in a very good position come the end of October. I have to say, I don't fear Spurs. And I'm not saying that as in we're going to play them and we're going to walk them off the park and beat them. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is what I've seen of Spurs, because I have watched Spurs play, they are rubbish. In terms of the football they play, they're not. I have to be honest. Yes, they are 3 points. Yes, they are 3 points behind us in the league. And at the end of the day, they have got the results. But the football is absolutely atrocious. And if you don't agree with me, then ask Spurs fans. You know, they are telling me, I'm having conversations with Spurs fans, and they're like, Conte is in our favor right now because we're getting results. But the minute we don't start getting results, they are going to start massively questioning the way they play football, because they don't play football. It's horrific. It's crap. You can't watch it. I've literally tried to watch Spurs games, and I can't. I literally can't. Like, if Arsenal are not playing and Spurs are playing, I'm watching obviously because I want them to lose. And when I'm watching it, I'm like, it's so dire. The football is so bad.
I like Richarlison.
I end up just turning off and just following Twitter, because obviously every time Spurs concede a goal, Twitter will let me know. But yeah, the football is awful. So right now, I there's no way I can fear Spurs in terms of the way they're playing. Doesn't mean we're going to get a result against them, but there's no way, given the football they're playing, we can go into that match fearing what Spurs have got to offer. In terms of Liverpool, again, Bobby hit the nail on the head. Liverpool are not the same beast they was last season.
Missing Mane massively, aren't they?
They're missing Mane, and I don't know. They need to start eating some Weetabix because they're missing something. Because, like, literally, like I don't know what it is, but they're missing something. They're just not the same team.
Pre-season,
yeah,
right?
They're not the same team. So, again, going into that, what we've seen is how Arsenal have played and what we've seen how Liverpool have played. Again, that's no team to be feared. You can see it in Klopp. He's absolutely rattled. You can see it. You know, on our first ever stream, I did my first ever stream with you. It was me, you, Stephen, and some is it Jake? Yeah, it was, and another guy, yeah. And I actually remember saying on that stream that we are on our way up and Liverpool are on their way down. You did say it. You said they're on this cycle. They're coming out.
And do you remember what I said about Van Dijk? I said about Van Dijk that he's massively overrated because of Klopp's system. Klopp's system is good, but you know what the thing is about Klopp's system? It's good for a period, a small period, because it's too intense. The players can't handle the intensity. And if you look at them now, they're all starting to slowly look like they're burnt out. And you know, he had 8 players injured from pre-season. Pre-seasons when everyone's supposed to get fit and healthy and strong, and he had 8 players injured in pre-season. It's messed him up. You know, he played his strongest team in the Charity Cup. The strongest team, absolutely battered Man City, and then went and drew against Fulham. You know, so for me, I can see there. And if you watch Klopp in his interviews now as well, he's not the same cocky, confident.
He's rattled, man. He's absolutely rattled.
He's nice white shiny video.
The man is having it out with reporters. He's
rattled. With reporters.
Absolutely rattled.
The other day for taking photos.
And you know what? Somebody pointed out a really, really interesting fact to me. And I think it was on Twitter, and I had a conversation with a Chelsea fan because he was gobsmacked that Tuchel got fired. And he was like, Klopp, I think he gave me the number of games and number of how long Klopp had been at Liverpool in comparison to how long Tuchel had been at Chelsea. And the only trophy that, you know, Klopp had won over Tuchel was the Premier League. That was the only trophy. Every other trophy, Tuchel had matched his achievements. But yet Klopp had been at the club, you know, X amount, like literally almost double, if not triple the length of time Tuchel had been there. And that was kind of really telling, you know. I'm not saying Klopp's a bad manager. I'm not saying this Liverpool side isn't a really great side. But I do honestly believe that this Liverpool side, and, you know, come at me if you want, but I honestly feel like this current Liverpool side are completely overrated. I honestly believe that. I think when you look at the history, like we're talking as if this is a Liverpool side that have dominated Premier League football for the last 10 years. They haven't. They haven't. Man City have dominated Premier League football for however long. You know, Klopp has won. I think Klopp has won I think it's 4 major trophies since he's been at Liverpool. And if you look at how long it took him to actually get to that point, you know, the same people that are hailing Klopp as a messiah are the same people that are saying, oh, you know, Arteta's had long enough. Like, hold on. You know, Klopp took a long time before he won his first major trophy. So I honestly believe this Liverpool team is massively overrated. I'm not saying they're not a good team, because they are. But I think when people start to talk about great sides, I'm like, you just need to kind of look at the facts in terms of how long Klopp's been there, how many trophies they've actually won. We're not talking about the football. We're not talking about Salah, Mane, Van Dijk, individuals. We're talking about how much this club has actually won under Klopp in his reign. And it's not great. It's not as good as a lot of people think it is. And yeah, I will clip that. And yeah, I will put that out.
I genuinely, I can't wait. Do you see how we controlled Man United at Old Trafford?
Yeah.
I can't wait to play Spurs and Liverpool because I've been watching football a long time, and I coach and I analyze games every day with my son, and and I've not seen Arsenal look like this for a long time.
Yeah, man,
very long time.
I haven't. Every season I get the opportunity to buy a season ticket, and I don't. Yeah, because I don't like what I see. Yeah. This is the first time I bought a season ticket in 16 years because what I'm seeing. I'm sitting in the stadium and I keep I'm like doing this to people next to me. Like,
yeah. It's good. It's good.
The passages of play we are seeing now on the pitch. Like we went to Old Trafford. I know we lost 3-1. But I've got one of my closest ally rival fan friends at work. He's a Man United fan, but he knows the game. He knows the game, and he came to me, and the first thing he said to me, he said, Mikel Arteta is he's a proper manager. He didn't say anything about the banter about Man United beat us. He was more about us because he knew that they were lucky. Do you know what I'm saying? And that said a lot to me. So yeah, man, I'm excited.
Wicked, definitely. Gary's saying here, I'm with you, G. I only watch that team to see if their opponent get points, 100%. And I just want to bring up one comment here from Gary saying, I'll be in London for the North London derby. Tickets have been purchased. Had to put car payment on hold, laugh out loud. You know what? Gary's all the way from the States. He's coming to London for the North London derby. So yeah, make sure you let us all know when it is. Obviously, link up with as many Gooners as possible. Whether it's just a drink at the game, whatever. So yeah, be good to have you over here in the UK, man. Definitely. We've got Niall Kane here saying, evening, guys. Hope you're all keeping well. We're all good. And keep on chatting 100%. Right, next talking point, which we're going to briefly kind of talk about, because this is something that, is very much, on the thoughts of a lot of Gooners, and that is the fitness of both ESR and Thomas Partey. Now, the noise coming out of Arsenal with a lot of reliable accounts is that Thomas Partey is back in full training and he will be available for the Brentford game. Whether or not he'll start is another question. But looking at the bigger picture, obviously, since Partey's, £50 million move from Atletico Madrid, which we, secured him on the deadline day release clause, he's only been available for 58% of the games since he's come to the club. Given the fact that at Atletico Madrid, I don't think he had a single injury in his career. He was literally a feature there, game in, week in, week out. I'll come to you on this one, Lee, with regards ESR and Thomas Partey. Obviously, ESR's out. He pulled up in the post-match warm-down against Manchester United. By all accounts, he's not been in full-time training ever since. We don't really know what the situation is with him. Thinking about ESR and Thomas Partey, obviously having a fit ESR and Thomas Partey would add massive quality, massive depth to this side. But it doesn't seem to be a reality that we seem to be able to enjoy for too long. Do you have long-term concerns about these two players in particular and their fitness?
Yeah, with ESR, it's a real shame for me because he had such a decent season last season, didn't he? He was returning goals and assists.
Yeah.
And
his best season to date.
Yeah, absolutely. But he kept on getting knocks, and then he was restricted, wasn't he? Very much on the bench for a lot of from about February onwards, I think. Yeah. And he just can't get that run of games at the moment. It does worry me that a player of his quality, and we know he's got that quality, is going to struggle to get the fitness and then getting in a lineup, to be honest. But it's all right. We'll see where it goes with it. I mean, if I don't know what the score is, I haven't seen him been training or anything like that. But as soon as he comes back, he'd definitely be needed. I would imagine. I'm not of the thoughts of I'd be wanting to get rid of him just yet. Absolutely not. I know people are questioning. If a bid comes in January, say, what would you say? I've seen people like that asking questions. Now, I don't think January will be the time for making decisions like that.
Yeah.
But he does need to, we need to get these injuries, and sometimes that's just all part of the growing process as well. It just happens when your bodies are getting used to playing these games and stuff. I guess I wouldn't know. I'm not a Premier athlete, shockingly, but I'm really willing him to come well and do the job. With Partey as well, we have seen him coming back. I've seen the pictures of him training.
Yeah.
That little break that we've just had, I know it's all sad and everything and
Good.
politics and stuff, but for an Arsenal point of view, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It wasn't the worst thing, 100%. Yeah,
exactly. So, and like I said, I don't know if they'll risk him straight away. I would hope they'd probably just have him on hold. I wouldn't want to take Lukonga out straight away. Definitely not, because I thought he did he's actually come in and done a pretty good job.
Yeah, he's done all right. Definitely. Bobby, I come to you obviously with regards to ESR and Thomas Partey, because I kind of know we speak about this a lot in terms of like ESR and Thomas Partey, your opinions and stuff like that. But obviously long term, not so much short term, because facts are facts. ESR's injured, Thomas Partey is now fit. But long term, like, what do you think? Do you have long term concerns over these two players? And ideally, what I'm asking, if a good offer comes in for the two of them, would you take it? Are you looking to replace these guys, or are you happy to keep them around the squad? Given the context of their injuries, they can't stay fit.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what my opinion was on Partey when he first came. Anyway, I wasn't his biggest fan. I didn't rate him. I didn't think that he was that good a player. I didn't rate him when he was at Atletico Madrid. Gabby was the main DM there, and then it was Rodri, and Partey was kind of like never their main guy. He was just kind of like there almost, So for me, I never really kind of rated him, but then he started to have some really good performances in an Arsenal shirt, and he kind of elevated everything around him and made Xhaka play better and all the rest of it. So, I started to get on board with it, but then it just kept on breaking down. I mean, the big one for me was that 3-game period against Crystal Palace, when we lost to Crystal Palace, Brighton and Southampton.
100%. Yeah.
That it killed us. It killed our top four.
Our season. It
killed our season. And, you all know, coaches know, the hub of every team is midfield.
Yeah.
It's not your goalkeeper. It's not your centre-halves. It's not your striker. It's your centre mid. That's your guy that's there every week in, week out, that you rely on. And that's the hub of your team. He's involved in attack. He's involved in defence. He's involved on the wide. He's involved on the left. That's your heartbeat almost, and ours just kept on getting ripped out of us. When you think about back to really successful Arsenal teams, and you look at the centre midfield, it was full of world-class players. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, long term, he's going to have to be replaced. But I do genuinely believe you got to remember, where did Mikel Arteta play?
Yeah, midfield.
Yeah.
Both of them are midfielders.
Yeah.
Both of them played with great midfielders, and both of them played with poor midfielders. So they're going to know the level that we're going to need to get back. Also, Mikel Arteta knows what a top midfield looks like, being around City and that. So I think long term they're going to look to replace him personally, and long term I would look to replace him. I don't think I'd look to sell him. Arsenal can't sell players because we give them good contracts. He's on a quarter.
We release them for free.
Exactly. He's on $250,000 a month.
Yeah.
Are you going to give up that contract? No.
Yeah.
No, sir.
He's gone. He ain't giving up that money. So for me, he'll probably stay to the end of his contract, which will make him 32. But we need to go and get that Danilo Pereira from Brazil, whose season's going to finish in
January. Yeah.
Time. Hopefully, all the noise is correct. We're going to get him, and then he'll be our player. And I'll be honest, I've liked Lukonga there. I've liked him there. He's been regular. he's got to work on his defensive side. But I don't think Partey's been great defensively this season in the games that he's played. So
agree with that.
even though Lokonga's great on the ball, he's got a lot to learn defensively. So we need someone who's going to come in, who's going to own that position. Ideally, the dream for me would be Frankie de Jong. We all know Barcelona. Barcelona don't want him, and we all know he doesn't want to go to Man United. And we all know he mentioned Arsenal as well. So we was part of his plan. We was part of his stepping stone. So hopefully we can make a deal for him. I'll be all good for that. But yeah, for me, TP long term, he's got to go. ESR, I'm going to keep that short and sweet because I've always said, for me, he's a special player. No way are we going to sell him. We give him the number 10 for a reason. He's a top player. He's in the same mold as Grealish, as Foden, as Mudryk, the boy that we're all after, that everyone wants to sign. When ESR gets over his injuries, he's going to challenge Martinelli because he's that good. He glides past players. He can finish. He knows where the goal is. He scored 10 goals last season from the bench. But he's young. He's slight. He's growing into his man bloody. He's playing for Arsenal at the top level of the league. It's physically demanding. You know, he's not. He hasn't been raised like Saka on beef ribs and salsa.
I hear you, bro.
Even though we know he's got black in him, but he's probably not had the best diet, has he? Because he just keeps on. So I think next season after, we'll start to be. Martinelli was the same, wasn't he? He was always getting injured. Getting injured in warm-ups and, you know, a couple of games getting
bad ones as well.
So exactly. So no, we're not selling ESR. We give him the 10 for a reason. He's a proper player, good kid. I liked what I heard what Mikel Arteta said in All or Nothing about his character when they said that they were sending him on loan. They weren't sending him on loan because it was a football thing. They're sending him on loan because it was a character thing, because he's quiet.
He is quiet.
And if you notice on the Arsenal across the summer, he was involved in a lot of the little games they were playing, a lot of the 2-on-2s, a lot of the interviews. Him and Holding,
the commercial side of stuff,
the commercial side of stuff. Him and Holding did things.
Trying to bring that out of him,
bring him out of himself, and I think that is more of a concern for the club, more so than his ability. I think they gave him the number 10. They gave him the number 10 for a reason. He scored 10 goals from the bench. Don't forget that. He's going to be a top player for us, Emma Smith-Rowe. He's going to be a name you remember. Got into the England team. I know we don't rate Southgate, but he got into the England team because on ability, he can rub shoulders with the best in this country. Facts.
Yeah, it's true.
He's that good at ESR is. But yeah, he needs to grow into his man body. I've always said it. Once he grows into his man body, once he gets the Nelly muscles, you're going to see a player, man.
Wicked. We've got Brendan here from the Armory TV. Good evening, guys. And to all of you in the chat, good evening to yourself. We've got for the Spurs game, White or Tommy. We're going to come on to team selection next when we cover preview to the Brentford game. White or Tomiyasu at the weekend. Like I said, we're going to come on to that right now. Gary's saying, I'd rather Partey doesn't play this weekend unless it's on the bench. He still has international duties, which I don't like. Yeah, crazy if he goes to international duty, to be honest. ESR at his age with fitness issues is concerning, like Partey. Can Arsenal depend on him? We've just covered. Gary saying here, good job. Good job, Bobby. 3 for 3. Remembering that game.
It's on me tonight.
It's trauma, man. It's not going nowhere.
It's life of an Arsenal fan, mate. That's what it is.
Gary said,
we've been around, haven't we?
Arsenal need to strengthen. If that means players move to the bench, then I'm here for it. Right. So I'm going to bring up, obviously, we're going to move over to previewing, obviously, Brentford at the weekend. We do have a Premier League game. I believe the kickoff has changed somewhat. I think it's a slightly earlier kickoff. Midday. It's an away game. I mean, Brentford, you know, and no pushovers. Ivan Toney is going to be absolutely buzzing. Congratulations to Ivan Toney for his first England call-up today. So, yeah, this is the team that I would play against Brentford. I would play with, obviously, Ramsdale in goal. I'd play with a back four of Tommy, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko. Xhaka, and Partey in the middle with Odegaard playing in the number 10 role. And I would have a front three of Saka, Gabriel Jesus, and Martinelli. In terms of Tommy coming in for Ben White, I think Ben White has done a fantastic job. However, I feel long-term, if Tommy's fit, he's come on, he's looked good recently. I'd go with him. I think he offers us. I think going forward, Ben White's not bad going forward on the right, but I think Tommy is just more natural at it in that right back position. In terms of the back four, I keep the same. Zinchenko for me, has to be in there if he's fit. Xhaka, he's just a must starter at the moment. Partey, I'd bring him straight in if he's fit. He's either fit or he ain't. If he's fit, for me, he comes in. I envision Brentford being one hell of a game. If we catch them on their day, they're gonna seriously give us a game. Both physically, not we can play better football, but it's going to be a physical game. They can play football. You see what I know. Manchester United are poor, but you could see what they did to Manchester United on the counter. They absolutely tore them apart. So you can get Brentford on a good day, and they're an absolute nightmare to play. Or we'll breeze past them. We'll see how it goes. Odegaard for me, definite. Saka, the rest it makes sense. So I'll come to you first on this one, Bobby. Obviously, looking at my lineup going into the game, what are your thoughts? Would you change anything?
For me, I wouldn't bring Tomiyasu in. But if I did bring Tomiyasu in, I'd drop one of Saliba or Gabriel, because for me, out of all of our defenders, there's one player for me, one defender that has to be on the pitch, and that's Ben White. I think he's the best defender in our club. I think he's the fact that he can just go into right back, and we haven't really we got top of the league with Ben White at right back. That for me just says it all about Ben White. We haven't even played. We haven't started any of our right backs this season. Only one game. Only that in Zurich did Tomiyasu start. None of our right backs, Cedric and Tomiyasu, have not started one game this season. And that to me says something massive about Ben White. And also in all or nothing, it was massive to me, especially as a coach. I always look at little things when I was watching All or Nothing as a coach. The fact that Mikel Arteta said to Ben White after a loss, "How much coaching did you do today on the pitch?" That to me was just class. He's actually getting his certain players in his team to coach other players on the pitch whilst also doing their own job. Now, if he can ask Ben White to do that, that says something to me what he thinks of Ben White and what he thinks of him as a player. And I mean, I've always, there's someone in our group chat, Dan Dobbs. He's always put Ben White on a pedestal. And I was kind of semi there, but I didn't see it because he liked him when he was at Leeds. And I didn't really see it. I didn't really see it when he got Player of the Season for Brighton the season before we signed him, and then we went to sign him. I was like, they're looking for. You remember when I always spoke to you about the character thing? And, there's certain characters that you can rely on as a manager, as a coach. And to me, Ben White is that guy that they rely on. If you notice, they always take him off as well, give him a little rest.
Yeah, they do.
You always take him off. They always take him off. They always take Jesus off. The guys that they rely on, they kind of just give him a little rest because I want you to be fit the next game, kind of thing, you know. So yeah, that's probably the only thing. But I'm not too sure because I really like Tomiyasu. I love Saliba and I love Gabriel. So I wouldn't know which one I'd rest. I'll be honest, but
it's a hard call, isn't it? It's a hard call right now.
But for me, the fact that not one natural right back has started a game this season, apart from Tomiyasu in the Zurich game, says something massive to me about Ben White and how he's trusted and how he's viewed and all that kind of stuff.
It does. It says a lot.
And with the party thing, I'm 50-50. I would want Partey to start because Brentford. I think if it was at home, I would definitely want Lokonga to start.
Yeah.
The fact that it's away, I probably want Partey to start.
Yeah, but I think Zambi could get found out against Brentford.
Yeah, but at the same time, Partey hasn't played for how long, and I haven't been that impressed with him this season. I'll be honest. So that one's a bit of a conundrum for me because the other thing as well on that is I don't want to affect Lokonga's confidence. I don't want him to think that he's being dropped because even though we didn't beat Man United, we did well against Zurich and he played and we've relied on Lokonga. So I think by rights he deserves to start over Partey, who we haven't been able to rely on. Maybe Partey should come on after 20 minutes. After 20 minutes. 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But the rest of your lineup, it kind of picks itself, doesn't it, for me?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Lee, same question to you. Obviously, thoughts on the lineup, and would you do anything differently?
I'm pretty much like Bobby. I don't see Ben White getting dislodged right back at the moment, especially being they concern me a little bit going forward to Brentford. Now I have this recurring nightmare of the start of last season as well.
Yeah.
So
Chambers and Holding.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking defensively wise, I definitely want Ben there. I like Tommy a lot.
I love Tommy.
If we're talking, if we were the other way around, if we had the home fixture, I might play Tommy. But I'm keeping Ben. I'm keeping the back line with Ben right back, and the other three the same. The only argument, like we've mentioned, Partey, but I don't think I know what you're getting at, saying I wonder if he'll get found out because they are competitive in that midfield at Brentford. Look what they did to Man United.
I probably would go with Partey, to be fair.
They press the life out of their opposition.
But on one hand, I want to play Partey. The other hand, I'm thinking I don't want him. We don't need him breaking down again. So I'm really on the fence. Yeah, you're right. But you want to. I'm feeling slowly.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of a long-term picture.
Yeah, that's true. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what actually Arteta does. That's going to be very telling in terms of his team selection. But yeah, that's the team I'd go for. I knew that the Tommy and the Partey one would be the talking points. Because like Bobby said, like I'm sure you agree, Lee, the rest of the team pretty much picks itself in terms of performance and in terms of quality. Just moving on, obviously, we'll go to one of the comments here, or two of the comments quickly. Arsenal can't do what they did to Grealish and increase his value. Arsenal surprise everyone. 1-3 win. All 3 points go back to London. And we've got CTD here. Think it would be interesting if we tested Saliba White as a centre-back pairing, as I don't think Gabriel has been good recently, but I think Gabriel being left-footed helps our build up a lot. Okay, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Next thing I'm going to bring up here is obviously going into the game. So I just want you to give me your thoughts around obviously Brentford danger men. So any players on the Brentford side, obvious one, Ivan Toney, but anybody else at all? Any Brentford players that you're not looking forward to watching, Arsenal play on Saturday? Thoughts on the general game, and given the context that our next two Premier League games are now Spurs and Liverpool back to back, is this, in your opinion, a must win? I'll come to you first on this one, Lee.
Okay, I'm not going to go for the obvious because, as I suggested in the group chat, there's a player in the Brentford midfield that used to wear our colours. It's Josh De Silva, who I really, really like. He's getting into the side now. He's playing very, very well, I feel. And so that's the one player I'm looking forward to seeing how we cope against him. Put it like that. I'm gonna put it like that and cross my fingers. All the ones I can cross.
I hear you.
There's a joke there from the guys.
I hear you.
We'll talk about Tony and his quality as well. Yeah, he got his England call up as well, by the way, and that's great for him. How Ben White hasn't been called up is another matter entirely, but never mind.
Yeah, well, I think we could do a whole stream on that.
I think we could do. But this Tony's caused us problems before. That recurring nightmare I keep on having isn't good, but he's absolute quality, isn't he? Let's be fair. He's shown at Premier League level he's got what it takes. So yeah, fair to him. And the contents of the game as well. We've got the postponements. You've got Man United not playing. You've got Liverpool not playing over this weekend. So I think Chelsea aren't playing. I think they play each other, or they're supposed to play each other. I think being that you have to get the points on the board here, and that's I think it's crucial in us moving forward to put pressure on the rivals going forward. and that's how you get on the ladder of getting up that table and picking up the big one at the end, hopefully. Yeah, I'm really optimistic. Yeah, I know.
No problem. Bobby, I'll come to you. Obviously, you've heard Lee's thoughts with regards to the importance of the game, getting the points on the board. He singled out Ivan Toney and De Silva in midfield. So, yeah, give me your thoughts on, obviously, Brentford danger men or just Brentford as a side. It doesn't have to be a particular player, maybe a style of play. Thoughts on Brentford, their danger men, the game itself, and whether or not this is a must-win given our next two fixtures.
For me, it's not a must-win. For me, it's a must-not-lose. More so than a must-win. Don't lose this game, man. Other teams have got to play as well, so we don't know. They could drop points too. For me, Brentford's. I'm going to predict that we're going to batter them. I've just got that we're going to batter them. I just think that we're going to be too much. I think it's going to be a 2-0, 3-0 victory.
Okay.
And I think why I'm this optimistic is because what I saw last season. And last season, we got into their box. I think we had. I'm sure we had more shots in that game than any other team.
Yeah.
In the Premier League, I'm sure.
You got a very good memory because you know what's crazy is that even though we lost that game, we had an absolute nightmare of a team due to COVID.
Balogun should have had a penalty.
We absolutely battered them.
I remember Martinelli went through. Balogun should have had a penalty. Saka should have scored in the first half. I'll never forget his chance that we should have scored.
We battered them in every single stat.
And then when we were at the back, we had Chambers, Kolasinac, Holding, and Leno.
Oh dear!
I remember after watching that game, thinking, you know what, we're not that bad. I'm sure it was in a stat. I'll look it up after the stream that we'd had more shots than any other team on an opening game. And I remember Carragher and Gary Neville absolutely destroying us. But I remember feeling we're okay. We're going to be okay because we didn't have no players that day, did we? Because of COVID. I like Brentford's style. I like the manager. My son was actually there on trial for a few months at the end of last season. Love the way that they play football. Love their club's ethos and everything about them and stuff. But I think we're just that level above. And I think we're a different Arsenal now. And I think we're going to go there. And I think we're going to control them. We're going to just totally dominate them. And it's just about us putting the ball in the back of the net because they've got two big, strong centre-halves. But they've got a new right back in Aaron Hickey. That apparently we were linked with. He might want to prove a point.
Don't say that to Dubsy in the group chat. he wanted Aaron Hickey. It was so bad, didn't it?
But he's come and he's done okay, but he's not been amazing. He hasn't looked. He hasn't looked like Tariq Lamptey looked at Brighton or like the Norwich boy looked at his first season in the Premier League. He hasn't really stood out. He's just been steady. Rico Henry came from Warsaw. He's a championship player, and he's going to be up against Saka, who's going to absolutely destroy him. Yeah. So for me, I think we're going to beat them, and I think it's going to be quite easy. But I do like Brentford. I do like their style. I do like the way they play. I like the club. I like their ethos. One of the things that I'm going to be really watching is Saliba Toney, because Saliba hasn't come up against anyone like Toney. Even though he did come up against Mitrovic and he dealt with that well, even though Gabriel gave away the goal against him. It's going to be interesting to see how they cope with Toney, because Toney's a very good centre forward. He is very, very good centre forward. He's problem in the air, problem back to goal. He's not all about pace, which is Saliba's strength. So that's going to be something different for him to deal with. Saliba's very physical, and he my son's a centre back, so I analyse his game a lot. So watching Saliba, I look at things, and one thing he does is in one-on-one contact, he gets very physical with the person that he's playing, because that's because he's so big and he can do that, and he overpowers them. Yeah. But what's he going to do with Toney? Because Tony's that big, so that's going to be good to watch. That is. But other than that, I'm excited for the game because it's been so long since.
Get back to some normality.
I hear that.
But I think we're going to win, man. This is a different Arsenal. I think this team's going to learn a lot from that Man United loss. It's going to piss them off, and
I hear that. I hear that.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
I mean, in terms of my thoughts, like, yeah, I've got to agree. You know, I think the two things that kind of stand out for me is I've got to echo what you both said about Ivan Toney, because you both touched upon him. So I completely agree with that. I think he's definitely going to be obviously an obvious, clear danger man. He's a top centre forward. I think also, like I said, for me, it's the press. You know, what I've been impressed with Arsenal this season is that we have looked press resistant. We have looked good on the ball, and I think that's why I'm more inclined to pick Partey if he's fit, because I just think, you know, Partey for me is so much more composed on the ball. He might not necessarily, you know, be, you know, absolutely, you know, thrilling us with his performances, but I just feel more confident if Partey's on the ball in a kind of defensive area than if Sambi is. So I think the two worries for me is Ivan Toney and how we're going to deal with them, like what Bobby said, deal with him. And for me is just how much Brentford can press and just how we kind of counter that. And I've seen evidence to suggest we will be fine, but obviously on the day, fingers crossed, we can continue to show that. So those are the two kind of concerns for me. Thoughts on the game? I have to agree with Bobby. I think it's going to be a difficult game because no games at the end of the day in the Premier League are easy. But what we've seen so far, even in the Manchester United game, we've outclassed and we've dominated every single team we've played this season. We have. You know, it's a fact. You know, all the games we won in the Premier League, we were the better side, unanimously. United, we were the better side, unanimously. FC Zurich, with our B team, we were in gear 1 and 2. We didn't even get out of gear 2. So,
bro,
really,
about my team, bro.
so really and truly, like, you know what I mean? I think if we have, you know, a fit squad and we go into that game and we go up in the gears, I don't think Brentford can live with us. At the same time, as I've said on a previous stream, I think when I did it with Albert, I do have my concerns about just how clinical we are at times. And I think if we are gonna drop points, God forbid we don't, but if we are going to drop points, it's going to be to do with, as Bobby said, it's going to be to do with the lack of putting it in the goal. We're going to make many chances against Brentford. It's whether or not can we convert those chances. If we can convert those chances, I honestly agree with Bobby. I think we walk away with it with a comfortable win. But that's the big if. I saw signs of it against Villa. It should have been a cricket score. I saw signs in it against Fulham. We won the game. We found the way. But again, we should have been out of sight within the first 45. Against United, it cost us slightly. There were other things that were at play in that match, but again, I feel like if we were clinical enough, we would have definitely got something out of the game, if not won that game still. So that's my only kind of concern with the performance. But I am optimistic going into the game. I do think we're going to obviously get the win and bring the 3 points home to London. At this point, those of you still watching, please do pop your score predictions in the chat. I know we had Gary say it was a 3-1 win to Arsenal, bringing the points back. Bobby, you kind of touched upon a convincing 2 or 3. I'm going to narrow you down to one of the two. 2-0 or 3-0?
3. I said 3, but I gotta go 2.
Okay, 2-0 for Bobby. 2-0 away win for Arsenal. Lee, score prediction?
I'm going to go with a 2-1 away Arsenal win.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be... I can see similarities with the Fulham game. Yeah. And okay, you know, just take the chance and hopefully we can get it.
No problem. So 2-0 for Bobby, 2-1 for Lee, and I'm going to go 3-1. Mix it up a little bit. I think Brentford will score. I think they'll score, but I don't think they'll be able to live with us in terms of our attack. And I think, you know, we'll find our shooting boots like we have pretty much all season, to be honest. And I think we'll get a couple of goals. So yeah, that pretty much kind of rounds up tonight's show. A little bit longer than we anticipated, but it's always like that when we're talking Arsenal because we just get into it. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of obviously when we're back now, Lee, do you want to tell us about the potential show or shows?
Yeah.
For Saturday?
Sunday, mate. It's a Sunday game.
Oh yeah, sorry, Sunday.
11:45. I think we'll plan to start. Chat along. I think I might have Posh Bertie with me, and I think Matt would like to join us as well. So it'd be great if you could join in. We'll have a little bit of fun with it, and we'll actually enjoy it, hopefully. So
Excellent. Excellent. So make sure you listen out for that. So 11:45 on Sunday, Lee and the gang will be doing a chat along, Brentford versus Arsenal. If you get fed up with the commentary on Sky or wherever they're showing the match, tune in to Lee's chat alongs. They're good fun. So yeah, that is our next show. Other than that, we will be back obviously next week. At the moment, we're kind of just going with the flow, really. We don't really have a kind of calendar or anything. It's like, yeah, we played the game. Are we free? Let's jump on the stream. Let's go. So we don't know when we will be back, but we will obviously be back reviewing the game and obviously looking ahead to a Europa League tie as well next week. Bobby, any last thoughts before we go?
No, not really. I never really got good at last thoughts, man, because we got so much out, didn't we, man? You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I'm just blessed, man. I'm just blessed to be on this channel, blessed to be talking Arsenal every week, something that I love. And looking forward to the next stream. Looking forward to Sunday. I'm trying to get tickets for Sunday, which is turning out to be damn near impossible. But yeah, man, if I can even go as a sneaky Brentford fan, I just want to be in the stadium, man. You know what I mean?
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, man, I'm blessed, man. I'm just looking forward to the game, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Wicked. Lee, any last words from you?
Yeah, if you want to follow us on my Twitter, give me a message if you're interested to do a Desert Island kickabout. Absolutely. Goonerly Meads. You can find us on Cannon Chatter at the top there as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll see you on Sunday, guys.
Wicked. Last couple of comments here. Gary saying, great show. Thank you, Gary. Always tuning in all the way from the States. Like I said, when you are in London, do shout as many Gooners as possible, and we can see if we can do a bit of a link up. And saying, have a good night, chat room. Have a good night to yourself. And that's it, really. Like I said, Lee will be back on Sunday at 11:45 for the chat along. Tune in for that. We will be back next week to obviously review this game and look ahead to Europa League tie. But I mean, you know what? Good night. God bless. Until next time, keep chatting, people.